Okay, so today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. And I, it's wild out there on the TikTok streets, on the social media streets, on the YouTube streets, on all these social media streets. It's pretty wild. Yes, I understand that there is some news coming out that there is going to be some type of alleged plea deal with Brian Kohberger, the alleged unaliver of the Idaho 4, the college students in Moscow, Idaho. Now, I don't know if that's true at this point, but I will say welcome to my live. I'm going to just let it sit for a minute while more viewers are coming in. So come in one, come in many. But I want to go through and look at the specifics in regards to the new order that is on the docket. And I'm going to show you something that was on the docket on Friday. And I find it pretty interesting due to the fact that on the docket, there is a order, obviously for today, but on Friday, I'm going to share my screen with you. Just give me 1 second. On Friday, there was here we go. Here's the case summary. Hopefully you can see this. So on Friday, there was a sheriff's return, a criminal court document that was sealed. Okay. This was right after the redacted order for defendants' proof of alternative perpetrators was denied partially. Now, Ann Taylor can still ask the questions. Well, some of these witnesses are on the stand, but the sheriff's return was a criminal document that was sealed in the case summary in the repository. Then after that, there was that same day the second notice of filing defendant's addition objections to the juror questionnaire under seal. And then obviously came the order to seal those because number one, they're arguing that they didn't like some of the jurors' questions, and there may be some specific evidence, and it's sealed to preserve the rights of the individual and the trial. Now, the next thing you see on the docket is hearing canceled. That was on the original. That hearing was vacated for 7/21. There is nothing in the next few weeks on the docket yet. There is no scheduled plea hearing. There is no scheduled sentencing hearing for a plea deal. There is no mention of it on the docket until I see it in writing, black and white on this docket. There is no plea deal on the table. That information was sourced from the media from a family member's letter, a letter. Now, there is a hearing that I mentioned last week that was very sus that appeared, and that was the hearing for a week-long sealed proceeding. Yes, folks, the prosecution and the defense will have a week-long hearing, and it will be sealed procedures, which is wild. I've never seen anything like this in a case. Then there was the original canceled hearing that they vacated. Then there is another hearing for the jury that's stated in regards to the new amended schedule. And then obviously the jury trial that was pushed back 7 days, yes, 1 week. Then the jury trial will begin. So the information that I'm looking at, and thanks for joining all 11 of you right now. I know more will be watching this replay. There's a lot of great creators that went live because of this. And I basically said, is this a Kohberger plea or a PR stunt? And it definitely looks like to me that perhaps this could be an actual PR stunt. Now, the originating, and let me just pull this up for you. The originating news source on social media just happened to be Brian Enton. A lot of people were telling me that they are going to agree to a plea deal. Now, maybe this went over the news wire and everyone has picked up this story. But News Nation did report that he is taking a plea deal. And here is what I wanted to share with you. Let me go ahead and share my screen once again. I'd rather share my screen than take a screenshot and then go ahead and go back and all that stuff. But I want to share with you something that I read that I thought was very interesting in regards to this alleged plea deal. And here is, hopefully y'all can see that. Drop a 1 if you can see my screen in regards to the plea deal information. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, because this website uses cookies. Okay, I'm not hungry. Let's see if I can go down a minute. Okay, so basically, Kohberger accepts plea deal in Idaho college murder case. A source confirmed the prosecution had proposed dropping the death penalty. Well, why would they drop the death penalty after Friday? The judge basically said, we ain't going to go with alternative perpetrator evidence in the trial. You can't admit all that evidence, but you can ask questions. And then a hearing will change the plea on Wednesday. He faces the unalivings of all 4 college students. So here's something that is very interesting. Okay. It was first reported that it came from a victim's letter. Okay. In a statement on social media, it didn't come from the prosecutor or the defense. In a statement on social media, the family of one of the victims, Kaylee Gonsalves, said, it's true. We are beyond furious with the state of Idaho. They have failed us. Please give us some time. This was very unexpected. We appreciate all your love and support. Heartbroken, Kaylee Jade, forever. Okay, so this is coming from the outspoken family, and it was reported that it was on Facebook. It is true. 1 hour ago, we are beyond furious with the state of Idaho. They have failed us. Well, why have they failed you? Isn't that what you wanted? You wanted the person who unalived your daughter and Maddie and Ethan and Xana to be able to be prosecuted, to have some closure. Okay? Why? I mean, usually the DA asks the family if they're okay. They have a victim's advocate that goes out and actually asks, well, is this okay? They usually have some type of formal offer. It's not just, we're going to post whatever we want on social media and it is what it is. No one's going to question them. Well, I kind of question where it's coming from and what we've seen in this case. Of course, he's been tried by the media. Of course, he's been thrown under the bus several times, and that bus has backed up on him. Of course, Anne is doing all they can. They do potentially speak to the families that are truly victims. But if you remember, Kaylee Gonsalves does not have a victim's form. That means that the state of Idaho didn't feel like she was a victim. Okay? She did not have a victim's form on the repository. How in the world can they say he's going to take a plea deal right before trial? Are they putting this out into the media to convict him? They got a letter from Braun. Okay? They didn't want a lot of the information coming out at trial. Of course not. Hippler spelling is wrong. Yeah, it is wrong in that, because it is an AI picture and it didn't pick it up. So, yeah, it's spelled wrong for a reason. I think it's wild. I think in the repository, there is nothing new and they are an hour ahead. So, unless it's going to be in the repository tonight, I see no, nothing, nada, zip, zilch on the repository for Brian Kohberger's case. It is sus. They are trying by media. Totally trial by media. Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but this is unjust. It is unjust. It is sus, Brooke. And I believe that there's a couple of people a handful of people who would agree with us. This is sus. Why would they put a statement out there? Are they going to come back and say, oh, well, we're sorry, our Facebook page was hacked? What do you think about that? There's 385 shares on this post on Facebook, 1,700 comments. So are they going to say, oh, well, we're sorry, we were hacked? What do you think they're going to say if this is not true? Media should be held accountable. They should always be held accountable. But who's going to hold them accountable? Are we going to write in and say, hey, is this legit? I mean, I already asked, is this legit? Are they really taking a plea deal? Because I would be totally shocked. I would be shocked, to say the least. Why would they put this out there right now? Why would they? I mean, Brian Enton was the first one to put it out. I have no words. Congalva's family says that they're beyond furious with the state of Idaho and that Brian Kohberger's plea deal was unexpected. Sources confirm the prosecution has proposed dropping the death penalty in exchange for pleading guilty to committing the murders of serving life. Okay, now listen to the way this was worded. I know I called Ada County. They were already gone for the day. This is concerning. I called the clerk's office. Now, Brian Enton, listen the way he words this, guys. I have learned Brian Kohberger has accepted a plea deal. Sources confirm, this is the word salad here. Sources confirm the prosecution has proposed dropping the death penalty in exchange for Kohberger pleading guilty to committing the 4 murders and serving life. More details soon. He has learned, not that he has accepted, he learned that he accepted. No one here is reading between the lines. I fact-checked this in the state of Idaho repository. There is nothing in the repository for a hearing on Wednesday. There is nothing from the state or on the docket saying there is a plea deal hearing. Nothing. And if that was the case, there would have been a huge, huge local presence on the news with the attorneys present. 100%. Drop a 1 if you agree. If this was factual, they would be all over the news with his attorney. I mean, I'm looking all over to see if there's any comment from Ann Taylor's office. None. No statement. Nothing. And if this is some PR stunt, I'm shocked. How can they get away with this? This just solidifies Ann Taylor's request about the media and what they have done with this case. Trial by media. There is nothing in regards to Ann Taylor commenting. I mean, I can call her office right now and ask her if she wants to make a comment. I'm sure they're gone for the day, but shit, why not? Let me just get on live and see if I'll put my phone on speaker. Hold on. Let me see if they have any statement. Because I wonder how many people called into the law office of Ann Taylor and asked for a statement. Ann Taylor Law Office. Let's see. Does she have a public number? Anyone? I know that they moved the office. Let's see. Yeah, we can get the criminal defense attorney. Let me see. Ann Taylor. Here we go. Let's see if I can get her phone number. Let's see if we can get anyone from her office on the phone to confirm if this is true. Uh, Idaho State Bar, Ann Taylor office number. That number was not working. Let me try a different number. Okay, here I got a number. Let's see. There's no extension. I'm just going to put you guys on speaker. Make sure it rings first. Put a 1 if you can hear that ringing.
Hello, you have reached the voicemail for Ann Taylor Law. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and we will return your call as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Miss Taylor, my name is Phoenix, and I am looking to see if you guys would like to make a statement in regards to all this news coverage and social media coverage on allegedly Mr. Kohberger taking a plea deal. I tend to not believe it because I looked in the repository. I see no record of a hearing or a plea deal on the table. I did see some other things, and I would appreciate it if you could return my call. Hopefully, you do have caller ID, and I would appreciate a return call. Thank you for everything you're doing to share the innocence of Brian Kohberger. We all appreciate it. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, guys, you heard me leave a voicemail, in fact, for Ann Taylor. Um, you know what they say, no guts, no glory. Get your balls to the wall. I'm ex-military. I'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, especially for many of you that listen to me on TikTok or on YouTube, because I'm all about the truth. So if he is guilty, in fact, obviously we don't want him out of jail, but if he's taking a alleged plea deal to avoid the death penalty, that is like putting your fingers in a vice. The state has him in a vice, a chokehold, whatever you want to call it. And who would want to face the death penalty? I would never, ever want to be in this position. However, if he was framed, there's a cover up. We will get all the records. We will request to see the evidence. If he is in fact guilty, he should take a plea deal, allegedly, right? So I did a video when I went to Idaho. Birdie, I did it on Birdie's. I gave all the information that I found. And I did a follow up on my TikTok, and I will go ahead and make one here too. I have some very good footage. But until we hear about this on the case summary and we see it in black and white, and there is nothing, I'll again share my screen. There is nothing on the repository, folks, in regards to a hearing as of just a few minutes ago, and I'll share it again. Here you go. Here's the case repository, the summary. There was something on Friday that went down there after the alternative perps were basically denied to a evidence, but Anne can always ask those questions when the Ellie or anybody is on the stand. And then there was a criminal sheriff's return. I don't know what that was, but it was sealed. Then, obviously, the second notice that I've talked about before is regarding the objections to the questionnaire. Then it was sealed. And then the hearing that does start on the 28th of July, there's a whole week worth of proceedings that will be sealed. And then they start the jury questionnaires, voir dire, they select the jury. So I do not know what that whole week of sealed proceedings are, because in the amended notice, prior to this, and I'll go up and I'll show you that amended notice, the amended scheduling order, it was not on the case summary. It was not. In fact, this order was not. Let me go back and do the state Idaho. Here we go. This order amended schedule was not, in fact, scheduled anything for the entire week, and then this just popped up in here. So it doesn't say anything about the 28th, the sealed proceedings, just sealed proceedings. That's it. It doesn't say what it will be about. Then obviously the jury questionnaire questions will be seated, and then the trial opening statements will begin August 18th. So I have no idea exactly what is going to be held that whole week. That's just crazy. I'm manifesting that she calls me back too. I hope she gives some formal statement to put this to rest and give us confirmation, or basically, here, let me make sure I put my sound all the way up in case I do get a phone call back. And, I think it's just wild. If this is factually not legitimate, I mean, it's wild. I was shocked when everybody started reaching for the fact that it's true. It's true. Oh my God. Um, don't you think that this would have came from the attorneys or the prosecuting attorney before it came from social media? Wouldn't that be the proper procedure, guys? I'm just baffled. I think it's a ploy because of the fact that more people are now seeing the truth. They're now seeing that there's not solid evidence of this guy did it, that there could be four other people that do it. No, shoot. Okay, so that is not a phone call. I will be waiting to hear back from Ann Taylor's office. So there's another wild one for the books, guys. I am going to be watching Birdie in a few minutes. I definitely do not want to miss his live. On Monday nights, he does have Devil's Advocate, so there's a plug for Birdie. I know that some of my videos are going crazy. Reddit is all over. There's people sending me messages all over. I've said all along, Ann Taylor, oh my gosh, they're just beating her up all over social media, when in fact there is nothing in the repository that states that there is a pending hearing for a deal, a plea deal. So, those are typical letters that they send out when you have a victim's advocate. And let me just roll that back a minute so people understand what I am talking about. If you are considered a victim in a criminal or civil proceeding, you will be given a victim's advocate. And basically, they sit down, and when I say they, prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, whatever you want to call them in your jurisdiction, they sit down and they figure out who's the victim here. And then they give you a victim's advocate that helps guide you through the process, that's in charge of the repository, that's in charge of calling victims' families, sending them letters, sending them important information about the case. If somebody is going to be offered a plea deal, if somebody is going to be sentenced with more or less, etc. Okay? And that victim's advocate is paid by the district attorney's office. And they are there for the victims' families or people who are identified as victims' families. And they actually get the information firsthand before what happens in court. They're typically advised. So if this is a standard letter that went out and they are considering taking or offering a plea deal, they will identify which victims and what families will know about it. And I kind of wonder, because SG has been the only one that has put this up on social media, their page. And they don't even have a victim's form from the courts, guys. There is none on file. I don't know if you understand. Typically, they keep victims' families informed. And remember, in the beginning of all this, Steve G screamed from the high heavens that they weren't being informed. They didn't like the way this case was being handled. They're going to hear a lot of BS in the courtroom. He was really worried about what they're going to find out and all this and that. needless to say, I would be shocked if this was some type of PR media stunt, because they want to villainize him as much as possible, put him in the media in a bad light, try him by the media, and focus in on how horrible this guy is. And he may or may not have had anything to do with these unalivings. And I think it's with good cause that the state of Idaho is now said, well, we're not going to listen to the evidence of alternative perpetrators, but you can ask these questions on the stand. Is it a power play? Is it a move to preserve records, evidence, facts? Uh, I mean, we have never seen the actual evidence that the state has. I hope this trial does happen to be able to witness what actually is happening in the court of law in regards to the state of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger. I mean, what would you do if you were in this situation and your hand was in a vice? Would you plead guilty to avoid the death penalty? Anyone? It's disgusting. If they're putting that out to make him look guilty, what are they hiding? That is a great statement, Elrig. We will never know the truth, Elizabeth. I agree. I agree. Hey, Janet, thanks for popping in. We will see if this is true, obviously, in the first couple of days. I refreshed my case summary file for Idaho, and there is still nothing hitting the repository. There is nothing new in the case study, in the case summary. I apologize. There is still over 100 pages in the case summary, and still nothing. No scheduled hearing. Absolutely nothing. I don't see anything new in the repository or the case summary as of right now. Nothing. 100 pages. This case has gone on long enough. I think the public deserves a trial. I think BK deserves a fair trial. Will he get a fair trial after today? If this is in fact a PR stunt. Nothing. Nothing there. So, my friends, what do you think now? If they're blocking every way you can defend yourself, and yes, pleading to have DP would be a smart move, innocent or not. It would be a smart move. However, if they come back and negotiate, you have to take the plea deal, but you have no appeals. You can't take a plea deal with no appeals. It violates the constitutional rights of an individual, guys. So I thought that was funny when I saw someone post that. I was like, you're kidding me, right? They don't know what constitutional rights are. Lotus, I wonder if they're going to come back and hold on. Nope, that wasn't a message. If someone's going to come back and say, well, we were hacked on our Facebook page. You know, a little while ago it was taken from us, but maybe we were hacked. Right? He may get a fair trial if Anne presents everything that she has the way it's supposed to be. I think, yeah. All pleas take away your appeals. Now, in a death penalty case, I've seen pleas. If you take a plea, you don't, you can't sue, you can't ask for damages or anything of that nature. I don't know if it takes away all your appeals. I know he has to go before a trial. So I don't think I would take a plea deal to take the death penalty off the table. I'd be all or nothing. And that's just me. That's me personally. I've lived a good life. I would be like, if you're going to accuse me of something I didn't do, you're going to fight me in court tooth and nail to prove I did it when I know I'm innocent. I would be all in, not afraid of any DP. That's just me. That's my personality. If you're gonna prove that I did something when I know that I'm 100% innocent and I may be framed, I would be all in tooth or nail, 100 freaking percent. So that's just me, and I'm sticking to it. All right, you guys, I'm gonna give myself a few minutes to grab a drink, go to the restroom. I can't wait to see what Birdie and Devil's Advocate has to say about this. Are you guys going to jump onto Birdie's live? If so, I'll see you over there. So be well, everyone.